Yeah, you know, first of all, it is ridiculous for people who are not members of a party, let alone officials of a party, to pretend to know more than the SG of the party. Sophia, if you remember the reason why the Supreme Court annulled the 2017 presidential election, the Supreme Court said that the process is as important as the result.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you know the result. The process is critical to the result. So ODM is the only party that actually insists on process. It insists on fairness, it insists on giving opportunity to every person who might be interested. You might think that there's only one person who is deserving, but please open up opportunity for everybody else to be able to feel like they're members of the party and they're part of the party. So sitting here, I've been in Matungu for the past 2 weeks, Boni Khalwale. Yeah. I can tell you as the SG of a party, I know that the deadline that we gave is next week. I am in touch with people like our deputy party leaders, including Oparanya, who we've been campaigning with here. His team is preparing his papers. They will be presented to Chungwa House. So it is not for me to sit here as SG, because I'm the SG of everyone. I'm the SG of Raila, I'm the SG of Oparanya, I'm the SG of Joe. I cannot sit here and say that I know who's going to be the presidential candidate of a party. And at the end of the day, it is not the preserve of the office of SG. I don't know if Khalwale has ever been SG of any party. No. I saw that even this new one, UDA, they gave it to an ODM person because they know the ODM people know how to run political parties. So what we want to make clear is that the process is as critical as the result. Number two, I'm happy when Professor Anangwe confirms that only a fool can sit around waiting for an endorsement. But unfortunately, he wants to run away from the fool that he has described. Because, Professor, the people that you are talking about have said it themselves, including yesterday. And we can provide video clips. We are in a reputable media house. They can show, in fact, the event was carried live. They are the ones saying every time they are on a public podium that Raila must endorse them. In fact, one of the things that is very surprising, when you argue that, for instance, the Luhya community has been supporting Raila, the Luhya community has built governments together with Raila. In fact, for you to become president, minister, during your time, if you are honest to the country, you count the number of people who ended up in cabinet from Western Kenya in the two governments that Raila had a hand in forming, starting with the Kibaki Tosha government and the coalition government. Count the number of people who ended up in cabinet from Western Kenya. All these big names that we know, including this Kina Oparanya, including Kina Namwamba from Busia. All of them were there during the time when Raila had a hand in forming government. Count the number of cabinet secretaries between 2013 and now. If it is not my Muhwazi, Rashid, Echesa, and maybe Eugene Wamalwa, those are only two names. So it is not as if Luhyas did not reap the benefit of the support. And I'm happy Khalwale has pointed out to you that Luhyas have chosen to support Raila because he deserves that support. You have to earn the respect and support of the people. Here, there is nothing like supporting somebody simply because you were born with them. Do they have the capacity to do the job? And this is the argument that we have been trying to push in this area, Sophia. One of the things that we have proposed, and Khalwale I'm sure will back me up on this one, is in fact there's a very simple criteria to identify the leader of a community called Mulembe. These people have been in politics 30 years or more. All we need to do is to have a column with their names and a column with their record of development. Put Oparanya's name there, put Musalia's name there, put Wetangula's name there. How many kilometers of roads have you built in the 30 years that you've been here? How many people have you helped to scale the ladder of life in your period as a public servant? How many hospitals? Let the records of those people be put on the table so that Kenyans can see that this is the best person to lead Mulembe Nation. I have been miffed, Sophia. It is actually hilarious. Some of the criteria that is being proposed by our friends in ANC to determine who's the leader of the community. How many funerals you attend. How many times you have buried people. I heard Bishop Hamala saying that, oh, that one does not attend funerals, so he cannot be a leader of the community. I heard my friend Cleophas Malala saying you have to have a certain type of face for you to be president. It is looks now, and how many funerals you attend. Is that really the criteria we want to use, Professor, for us to identify leaders of the community? No. Yeah. Let everybody's ability and development record over the period that they've been in public service determine who becomes the spokesperson or the leader of the community.
Dr. Professor, please.
Yes, may I remind Mr. Sifuna, the current Secretary General of ODM, that you were in ODM before you became the Secretary General.
Thank you.
May we also remind you that it is Luhya leaders who built Raila's following in Western Province. May I also remind you that I was the election board coordinator for Western under ODM, and I have finer details as to what transpired. So to say that Raila has gotten this following because it is on merit, it is a mistaken view, and I wish to emphasize that Raila's following in this province or in this region has been declining from 66% in 2007 to 59%. I have analyzed data. Maybe you should go and revisit the data you analyze. I can extrapolate that come 2022, Raila will be lucky to get, say, 30 or 40% of the Luhya vote. So he's a man whose fortunes in this province are on the wind. Now, having given that particular preamble on the modus operandi within ODM, I can tell you for sure that all these candidates you are mentioning, Kivuda Kibwana, Oparanya, Joho, all of them, and Kitui, they are all being chaperoned by Raila. Ultimately, it is Raila who will be the presidential candidate for ODM. Come 2022, you can take it to the bank. If you pontificate and preach that gospel you are saying, you will soon be sacked. So be very cautious on what you say about Raila. You should be preaching from your point of view, Baba Tosha. That is good enough.
Let me ask you this. As you come in